Hi everybody, welcome back to Simply Cerisa. Today is a little bit of a different video, but I've come across a way to clean an everyday item that many of us use, which happens to be a beauty blender or a makeup sponge. And the reason I wanted to share this, it was because I am a fan of doing things with as little as possible with on-hand household items, but I want it to be done as efficiently as possible as well. And I, just for research sake, I went through YouTube and I Googled a few ways to clean these beauty blenders, and some of the results were pretty hilarious. One of them included even a woman accidentally mistaking the directions and putting this thing straight into a microwave and basically melting her beauty blender in her microwave. So, you know, there's some really funny ways that people think are cleaning hacks, but not to get too sciencey on anybody, there's definitely, I think, a more efficient and a better way to clean sponges, and this is really nothing more than a sponge. When you use soap, especially things like this, the surface barrier is actually really thick. And soap is made out of molecules that are an interesting chain. One end likes water, one end actually likes oil. And so that's why it works so well. When you add soap into the water, it kind of turns into a party. Now, there always has to be a balance, just like in a real person party. You don't want too much of the shy type, too much of the outgoing type. You like a good mix of people, you know, everybody to have some fun. So one of the things that you have to do is you have to get everybody ready. Now with the sponge, it is a true sponge and you have to think about it as one. It is a dry product by nature, and when you moisten it, it expands, it gets water molecules in it, but it also gets oil, dirt, glitter, you name it, trapped inside there. But then the water molecules evaporate and the sponge dries out and it usually shrinks a bit. But what it takes inside, all the way deep in there, is all the oil, the dirt, the makeup, everything in there. So you want to kind of reopen it up, get it ready, get it kind of like prepped for the party. So you want to actually, I'm going to take my non-soaped hand, you want to actually get the sponge and you want to squeeze it before you add it to the water, because when you open it, it's going to kind of want to suck in the water. So you squeeze it and it sucks in the water. And you can do this once or twice if you want. Now I'm going to turn the water off and show you. Instantly, look how it changed. Instantly, you see the color. This is what I would call the clean portion that I haven't touched with makeup or anything. But look at the rest of this. Now, instantly, the oil molecules, everything starts to expand, everything's starting to get bigger because it's running out of room in there. Now, if I just went straight in and started soaping it up, it's too full. There's too many people in the party already. You don't want to try to add soap there. You also don't want to add this slippery soap in there that hasn't gotten ready for the party yet either. So you want to squeeze the water back out as much as possible and get it kind of ready. Then here's the trick. I'm going to set the sponge to the side. I want a little bit of soap. You don't need much, just a tiny bit. But I want to add the tiniest bit of water to that soap and kind of get it ready, kind of get it loosened up. You want to kind of break the surface tension there. Then when you grab your sponge onto your soapy hand, you really get it going. And because it's already been prepped a little bit with the moisture, it's soaked up all those soap molecules that are all ready to go, because some are attached to water already, and now those are ready, they jump in, they start attaching to the oil in there and the dirt. So then watch this. I'm going to squeeze and look at that. Wow, all that instantly came out and I didn't hardly do anything, and I used a minimal amount of soap. Now I'm going to turn the water on, rinse my hands, and do the same action. I'm going to squeeze this before I put it in the water so that it soaks up water. And I'm going to use as little water as possible doing that. Rinsing my hands to get all that extra off because I don't want it to re-soak it up. Squeeze the sponge, soak up as much water as possible, rinse it out. I'm going to do it 1 or 2 more times. And then I'm going to assess the situation. The funny thing is, when you do it this way, it instantly starts to pull, and you can see. Now if you look again, my sponge is like 99% clean, but see that little spot? So that tells me there's still a little bit of oil in there. I had this one really dirty, and I actually added extra makeup to it just for this purpose. So I'm gonna go back again, and remember, my sponge has already been rinsed and it's still wet. I added another tiny drop of soap, and this is just for a really dirty sponge. Tiny bit of water. Suds up. Get it all soaked in there. And it's so funny how it feels, just different. And by the way, this feels 100% more clean than any beauty blender cleaner I've already used. I've tried everything just for science purposes, even squeezing micellar water into this to see what would happen. Nothing works like this process does. Now again, turn the water on. I'm rinsing the soap off my hands because I don't want it to re-soak up any more soap. Squeezing as much out as possible, letting it slowly soak up the water, squeezing it out again, letting it soak up water. I'm going to assess the situation one more time. Now it's about 99% clean. Now I look at it again, I have a tiny little spot right here that still I'm not happy with. Now, but what I'm looking for is soap. There's still soap in here, so that means I just need to rinse a few more times. Remember, squeeze it out first because you want to get as many water molecules back in there again so that the part of the soap that likes attaching to water can attach. Squeeze it all out. Now I've still got a tiny spot right there, and I'm not even gonna call that a stain because honestly, these shouldn't stain. They're true sponges, they can be clean just like any other sponge. So I'm gonna see, I think this actually still has some in it. My test is always a paper towel. I take an empty paper towel, or excuse me, a dry one, and I do the same process. I squeeze it and flatten it out, and then I look at the color. Now there is no color left on here. So if I wanted to push the issue, I could wash it one more time to get this one spot out right here. But since I wash this so many times a week, I'm perfectly happy with this. I think this is probably 99.9% clean. And because there is no makeup being left on my paper towel, then I'm pretty happy with the situation. Now I do this just a few more times to get as much water out as possible to help it air dry a lot faster, and that's what helps me to be able to wash it more than once a week and continue to use it. And I'm done. So I'm happy with the 2 drops and the 2 paper towels to have this super clean, and I feel really confident using it again. It doesn't have any glitter left on it, and I'm ready to go for my next one. So anyway, I hope this was helpful to some of you, and again, this took a little bit of time because obviously I was doing some explaining, but when you get the hang of this process, you can literally have this thing cleaned in 30 to 45 seconds once you figure out your little system and getting your soap done correctly on your hand, and you're good to go. There's no reason to really have too many of these in the house, and there's no reason to have an empty or a bin full of dirty ones that you just don't feel like washing. I mean, when you do this, it can happen so quickly and be ready to go for turnaround for the next makeup application that you can really get away with 1, maybe 2 of these on your everyday makeup usage. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. I hope this saves you a ton of money and energy, and don't worry about buying all those expensive cleaners for these things. You don't need them. So anyway, until next time, I'll see you soon. Have a great week.